All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome back. I'm Billy Liucci.
And I'm Amanda Atwell.
And we are...
moving goalposts. We'll see who's moving the goalposts today.
I don't know what to expect today. It's a fun one.
It's been a quiet week, I feel like, as far as the goalpost. I mean, it was a bye week as far as football goes, for the most part, for most of our fans who are probably watching football this weekend. I didn't watch any football this weekend other than the unfortunate ending to the Chiefs and Cowboys games.
That sucked. That sucked for Mahomes. And the Chiefs, being out of the playoffs. My Lions are about one step away from being out. They're going to have to win out and need help. It was a rough week in the NFL for teams I like, other than the Texans. But
I went to the Cowboys game, so got to see that in person.
Did you stay for the whole game?
No, we left mid-fourth. I mean,
it's a pretty good effort.
The Uber back from Arlington to Dallas, you want to get out of there before. I mean, I hate, if it's a Texas game, I'm staying and I'm hanging out at Texas Live afterwards and waiting for the Uber prices to go down. If it's a Cowboys game that they're losing, we're going to leave early. Yeah,
that'll be, hopefully we get that opportunity in a couple weeks, but we got a little roadblock called the Miami freaking Hurricane, so we're going to talk about that in a second. Yeah, you know what, Amanda? I spent my weekend... I was on my Amanda Atwell. I was at a wedding Friday and Saturday. It was an interesting wedding because it was Longhorn girl, Aggie guy.
That was one of my journalism classmates.
Yeah, she was. She's a big fan of yours. She likes the fact that she likes our Twitter antics, and you came up actually several times at the wedding. You've got younger Longhorn fans, and some Aggies brought up the podcast. So it was the most common question, though, had to do with Le'Veon Moss, and we'll talk about that here in a minute. But I was a big volleyball guy this weekend. I know.
Sure you were.
Well, Longhorns were too. It was everybody was into it. Both teams playing for Final Four. Look, I am not gonna throw shade. There are a couple sports that I'm not gonna throw shade at Texas for, and one of them is women's volleyball. They're a power.
They got the record to prove it. I mean, unfortunate
recent
loss.
Recent natty.
Yeah,
so
a couple recent natties. Unfortunate loss, but great result for A&M. And honestly, I posted this on Twitter. I really couldn't be too mad that A&M won that game, just because you saw. Nebraska has been just running their mouths, mainly about Texas, just constantly about it. I mean, it was after Texas announced a new facility that they're going to create for volleyball, which if you haven't seen it, looks really, really cool. Dope. Nebraska fans were like, oh, Texas saw the upgrades that Nebraska was making to their facility. It's like, no, Texas has their own national championships in volleyball I think that program deserves a nice facility to play in. I mean, Greg has its history. It's romantic as far as that goes, but Greg is very, very old and very... Is
that what y'all call it, Greg?
Yeah. It's Gregory Gym.
Yeah. I didn't know they called it Greg.
That's where I worked out in college.
Greg, right?
Going to Greg. Yeah.
Really? Man, I haven't been there in so long. I think I went there when we were in college for, some of my friends were on the volleyball team, and my
dad waited in line there to get his classes. That's where he went to register way back in the day, I guess the 80s when he was in college.
Amanda, I'm old enough that I remember waiting in line to register for classes as well. Like, that's how we did it. And then while I was in college, it transitioned over to phone, and you'd have to hit the certain buttons. And each class, you had like a pamphlet, and it had, you couldn't even imagine it.
That's stressful. I mean, my classes, because I got into Texas late because I transferred in after I was playing soccer. And so a lot of the journalism classes I wanted to take, they were already full because you had to be like a certain level to get in.
Yeah.
This is very old school of me for being in college in 2015.
Yeah.
I went to the professors' offices and begged them to add a spot to these, my reporting sports class. I went to his office and begged him to add a spot to the class for me and pleaded my case. He added a spot to the class for me because it's like a 20-person class. So he's like, you seem passionate enough to take this class. We'll let you in it. So that was how my registration was always rather stressful because of my transfer situation.
I was always special in the class registration because I just waited and waited, and then I had to go to my advisor and just say, hey, I was chemical engineering like my first 2 years, and then I was getting out, and I started taking business classes, and my advisor called me one day. She said, hey, what are you doing? You're in these classes. I go, I'm switching to business. She's like, well, you gotta, now this is, remember, you
gotta redeclare.
This is back in the day, but even then, she's like, well, you gotta, and so then we found the middle lane, which was industrial distribution, so I could do both and not lose many hours. So to this day, now I finally get to repay the favor because I got to graduate still in the College of Engineering and didn't lose many hours. I finally get to repay the favor in that her daughter is going to intern for us next spring.
There you go.
So,
I lost a whole 15 hours of private school college classes, which amounts to about $20,000. So that I'm sure made my parents very happy.
Well, so yeah, for A&M though, knocking off the greatest college volleyball team of all time. They were saying a team that lost 7 sets all year. It was a really one of those fun moments where I think the whole world got to see how fun volleyball
on their court
and away and up 2-0 and then to drop the next two and lose that 4-set 37-35. It was like epic volleyball. I actually know Harper Murray, which is interesting because I know her and Olivia Babcock, who is the star for Pitt, who they're playing next now. So maybe getting to meet and know me at the Super Bowl in New Orleans this year might have cost them. They just didn't realize that it was going to be the start of A&M being a problem. But what a win for Jamie Morrison. And, in year 3 here, I really look forward, and I know people say this, but like A&M and Texas played 2 epic matches this year. One in the seat during the season, one SEC tournament. They split them. Texas ain't going anywhere. My man Marcus Spears will tell you that because his daughter's a rock star. His daughter is like one of y'all's rising star athletes on campus. And then you've got what A&M's doing and the way Jamie's recruiting right now. So I think that'll be a hell of a rivalry moving forward for all the fans of volleyball. So I'm looking forward. I wish I could go. It's Kansas City this weekend. Could have gone. You guys could have come up. We could have gone to 1587, taken in a little volleyball. But with A&M Miami Thursday, so let's
got other priorities.
Let's shout out our sponsor and then dive into that. La Casa Tequila, Amanda. I think there's going to be a lot of La Casa consumed and purchased this weekend. Hopefully here in College Station, both before and hopefully after that game as well.
I'm still waiting on my La Casa restock. I need
you need a restock, and I do have you a couple bottles, and we both need the new the new brand they've got, or the new I don't know what you call it. You don't call it a flavor. The new drop, the new He was telling me they're like Hungarian
new kind of vodka.
They're in like Hungarian wood barrels and
great Christmas present for your drinkers in your family. Which the holidays
we've all got them.
I will say, our friend Casey posted something on, I think it was Instagram, about Brandon Walker said that his family doesn't drink at the holidays, and it was just a back and forth between them. Does your family drink or do they not drink at the holidays? My family has always drank at the holidays. I don't know about other. And this is coming from a Southern Baptist family.
Yeah, exactly. See, we're like Italian Catholic New York family, so they all drink. But the irony is, I don't think my mom or sister, and I shouldn't be outing them, but since it's not bad, like I don't think either one of them's ever had a drink in their life. So our family's like split for sure. Yeah. But it's not for any reason either. It's not like, it's not like rooted in like some kind of religious it's just, they just haven't and never have and never will. My sister made it through 4 years in Austin without drinking, which is wild to me.
Very impressive. But for La Casa, I think a good Christmas cocktail you can make with some La Casa. I found some like Christmas margarita recipes, so might need to look into making one of those and sharing the recipe on our next show.
Well, and we've got a new sponsor coming on that we'll start to have in-show reads for, and Catalyst, and I know you've already They've already got a drink that they've kind of collabed with La Casa on that they want to get to you, actually.
Yeah, they sent me a couple cases, and those cases have been just about deleted thanks to me and my boyfriend.
He likes it.
I mean, I love them. As far as energy drinks go, if you have an issue with energy drinks as far as them just tasting too artificially sweet, that's my issue with a lot of them that you see on the market today. That is not an issue with these. It just kind of tastes like soda water with a flavor, which is good in my book as far as like if I'm drinking something like that, I don't want to feel like I'm drinking just a bunch of aspartame or whatever artificial sweetener they used.
Yeah, the office loves them, and the office definitely loves La Casa. I've got to keep tabs on those bottles when they're here at the office because I think the younger, the just out of college crew that still likes to go out, I think they make their way out with them sometimes.
And can you blame them?
No,
some great tequila, much better than the tequila I was drinking back in college.
Same. So we've got a playoff game to preview. We've got the Miami Hurricanes coming to Kyle Field, Amanda. I spent the last hour talking with all these the national media people just trying to get their schedules on when they're coming, and most of them are. It sounds really fun if you're not a fan of either team, any of the four teams, but they're doing Norman, Oklahoma, Friday night, and then most of them are coming like straight from the end of that game to College Station, checking in the hotel, going to sleep, getting up early for the Saturday morning showdown, 11 a.m., Canes, Aggies. I think...
Yeah, it's criminal that game's at 11 a.m.
Don't even get me started. It really is. It's the whole NFL.
I mean, as far as the match, I would get it more if it was at 2:30. And I know we talked about this last episode of why it is where it is, but it's just I'm so sick of TV time screwing up the environments for these kinds of games.
It is funny that y'all's most anticipated game, 11 a.m. A&M's most anticipated game, and both of us obviously have our rivalries that are highly anticipated. But for those two games to both be at 11 a.m. is crazy. And wasn't Texas OU this year also?
So Texas OU used to always
right. It was 2:30.
But I praise the sweet Lord when they moved it to 2:30. I mean, the thing is, second week of October is always so hit or miss as far as the temperature in Dallas goes. Some years it's really, really hot. Yeah. Some years it's not. But I feel like those 11 a.m. kickoffs are even hotter because you're there through the heat of the day. Yeah. 2:30, at least it's starting to set a little bit. And just getting to the fair is psycho. If you try to drive on I-30 that day towards Fair Park, God bless your soul. So it gives you a little more time to get to the fair and get to the game.
I remember watching that game as we were preparing to play Florida. It was that day. So watching that, and so everybody was kind of disappointed as we were about to trudge into the stadium after Texas was pulling away. The week prior, Texas playing Florida, and A&M had a night game, and I think it was Mississippi State, and you could hear the roars from, it's nothing like your rival losing right before you play and everybody's watching the end of that game. That's the beauty of college football. If you're playing at night and there's that 2:30 window, whether it's your rival or some big upset, and every tailgate you go by, there's 100 people gathering around one TV. So, that was 11 a.m. I don't like, but I do love the idea that here we are in the playoffs. I predicted it. And you laughed because you knew I was right on the fence of it.
I laughed because you were scared to predict. You were like a little startled animal trying to sneak it in and see if you were going to be ridiculed for it or not. But respect the prediction, and it came true. It's one of your few that came true. So we're gonna snaps for Billy.
Listen. This is not. I'm not putting up with it. I'm just not. I can't. I've got to fight back on this. Except this time, you're right. I threw it in as I said the fifth team. I said they'll be like Tennessee.
Well, you said 9-3, and you thought they would get him. But I do think, if anything, this season has proven if you're a 9-3 team that didn't lose, that your loss wasn't in your championship game, your conference championship game, you're not getting into the playoffs based on the current way they look at it.
Yeah.
So in that sense, you were wrong. A 9-3 team is not getting into the playoffs, but at least your team did go 9-3. So.
You're absolutely right. I would not pick that again after what we saw this year. I think the right.
You said Texas went 9-3 this year. Would you say they'd get in the playoffs? Like before in the preseason, Texas goes 9-3.
Probably would have thought they would have. I probably would have thought they would have. And yeah, I thought I was not expecting 11-1, and here we are. So Aggies, Hurricanes. I think, Amanda. First of all, this is going to be the biggest game in A&M history. I said it last week. Football-wise, it's the most important and biggest game they've played ever at Kyle Field. In terms of like what the game actually means, big picture, I would put it second behind the 99 bonfire. But as far as what's at stake, this is the biggest game played. You know, I would go.
It's interesting to think about with how long of a history A&M football has, and I try to think about it with Texas. What's the biggest game in history Texas has played at home? And it's hard for me to think about what one that would be. I mean, Clemson last year was a pretty big deal, but.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's just because the playoffs are so new, you know, there only been home playoff games for 2 years, but so you have to go back. So, like, I don't know. Amanda, you guys play Oklahoma and Dallas, so there's probably been some epic top 5 battles there. A&M Texas, we've talked about this. It always feels like one's up, one's down. They've never, not never, but it's rare that they're both like really good at the same time, which is weird to me because there's plenty to go around. And I think that's changing. We've talked about this with Elko and Sark and NIL and the money both. I think we're here now. I think we've stepped into that, but it's never really been that way. So I don't know. Like, it would, like Texas and Arkansas, have y'all maybe played a 1-2, 1-3 type game back in the 70s? Maybe. But yeah, so playoff game, and it's a blue blood program in Miami. I mean, this is awesome. This is, again, like, I would love the free ticket to the next round. But at the same time, it's like, this is the college football playoff. Like, put a
This is the one you want to win.
Yeah.
You want to say, like, if you're looking back, because as somebody who has a team who has won college football playoff games, it's nice to look back and say the teams we beat were teams like Clemson and then the Big 12 champion, which should have beat ASU by a whole heck of a lot more, but that team had a lot of fight, and it had a guy named Scattaboo that could destroy even the best run defenses.
And a quarterback who's leaving right before he plays A&M. I'm happy to see Sam Leavitt leaving as they get ready to play the Aggies next fall. So,
so it's nice to look back on that and say, like, oh, that playoff win was over Clemson.
You earned it. You earned it.
So as nice as it is to have a no stress playoff game, you know, you like these environments. This is what makes the game fun.
And my thing is this, you know, like, we've heard the stuff that's been going on since, you know, about a month left in the season when everybody started, and you started doing it to me via text. I think even before people really started doing it, where you started going, wait, the bottom of y'all's record against the teams y'all are beating, here's their record in the SEC. So to me, like, why not? Like, add Miami to that, and then look at everybody and go, okay, guys, y'all can say what you want, but A&M's beating Miami, LSU, Auburn, and Notre Dame in the same year.
To be there. And that's what I said last year. Texas's schedule was not all that competitive last year. Ended up having a couple ranked wins, but they proved they deserve to be there by winning college football playoff games. And that's no matter how your schedule shakes out at the end of everything. And that's why you don't hear me commenting on A&M's schedule all that much, except when it is to remind you when you are acting like it's harder than what it was. It's not going to matter at the end of the day, because if you win the college football playoff game that's on your schedule, then you've proven you deserve to be on that field.
I'm converted. You have converted me. It's only taken you like what, a year solid, but
also look at those SEC football schedules next year. I mean, I don't think I will say OU's looks a whole heck of a lot lighter compared to everyone else's that I've seen, which maybe they deserve that after the first year they got in the SEC, but
Well, we were comparing A&M and Texas the other day, you and I, and it is very similar. Like there's several common opponents. What? Missouri, LSU, Oklahoma.
Texas, the one thing I want to point out with Texas is look at the timing of their single bye week.
When is it?
Week 5. They play 8 straight SEC games.
Yeah, that's rough. That is.
So I mean, rough. you won't be hearing from Billy about Texas's schedule next year.
No, I think I'm broken of that habit. But I will say this: the schedules are very similar. If you think about this is crazy in a 9-game SEC schedule. Missouri. LSU,
I'm looking at both of them right now. So
well, just look up Texas because I know ours, so you can correct me if I'm wrong here. Missouri, LSU.
I know we have Missouri.
Arkansas, Tennessee, Oklahoma. I think 5 of our 9 SEC games are exactly the same, and then the 6th one is against each other. So basically 6 of the 9 SEC games are the same opponents, which is actually insane. And then
I thought we got rid of Florida next year. We got to play that.
Y'all get Florida. So y'all get Florida, and we get there was somebody that I said was pretty comparable to Florida that the Aggies get, and then
I feel like there will be some anger taken out on Florida.
To me, like Arizona State and Ole Miss are pretty comparable. Ohio State and Bama pretty comparable. I mean, I think Ohio State's going to be ranked higher, but I mean, 2 powerhouse programs. Y'all get one at home, we get the road, so pretty comparable game there. The schedules are so even, it's eerie. It's almost like they did it on purpose.
Y'all are at LSU again, and we are also at LSU, which I will be going to that game. I was looking at Airbnbs today.
It's very similar. But like you said, this year's, my one thing I will continue to battle is not you. I will not battle you on this, but I will battle around the country because it's like, whereas I can give you several SEC schedules that turned out to be tougher than the one A&M drew this year, which you don't apologize for. You just go out and beat Miami, you know. But like Texas did with Clemson and then Arizona State, and they came to Kyle Field and took Georgia to OT, all those things. But what I will do is say, I will still say what A&M drew in the SEC is still infinitely more difficult than teams like Miami, Notre Dame, Indiana, Oregon,
about who
Ohio
they played,
State,
not these teams
Texas,
specifically.
Yeah, Texas
the way
Tech.
you said that it's more difficult than these teams will be if they have.
Oh no.
It's more difficult than these teams' schedules that they have.
For sure. And it never came up. Indiana's schedule, or especially Oregon's schedule.
Do you want me to read you Miami's schedule?
Yeah, I know exactly what it is.
I don't even know this second team on their schedule.
Is it Bethune-Cookman?
Yeah. So Notre Dame, y'all have that. You both beat Notre Dame narrowly.
We both beat Florida.
South Florida, Florida State, a lot of Florida.
Yeah.
They spent.
They didn't leave the state of Florida until October.
Louisville, Stanford, SMU, lost to SMU in Dallas, Syracuse, NC State, Virginia Tech, and Pitt.
Yeah, so basically,
I will say they did beat the brakes off of most of the teams they were supposed to beat the brakes off of. So except for 2 bad losses, other than Pitt, to throw 5 interceptions. So if he doesn't do that, then I'd be more nervous for you guys. But I don't trust Carson Beck worth anything.
Well, here's what's interesting. And by the way, you got a little upset with somebody. You sent it to me this week where somebody said Texas doesn't have to leave the state of Texas until this point next year. That was their gripe.
Oh, that wasn't me getting upset. That was me being like, oh, so you're saying playing at Kyle Field is a home advantage?
It kind of is saying that.
Haven't lost there in a while, so that was just kind of a cell phone that I don't think that guy realized he did.
I would like to point out, if I'm not mistaken, somebody can fact check me, I think y'all have won just like the last 2 at Kyle Field. I'm not positive on that, but I think it was just the last 2.
Let's see. Texas.
I know Texas. The last game.
Y'all won the one at DKR many, many years ago.
Yeah, y'all broke our one game.
Last one that was played at DKR before the most recent one y'all have won.
Yeah, y'all broke our 1-game DKR winning streak.
Unfortunately for you.
But yeah, home games. I feel like it's just the last two. The last one in the Big 12, and the first one in the SEC.
Okay, so we got College Station. 2011 College Station, Texas won. 2009 College Station, Texas won.
Okay,
The last
07
time
we
y'all
won.
beat us in College Station was 2007.
Yeah.
So it's been nearly 20 years.
Okay, it's been 3 games. You guys can do the 20 years. It's been 3, and that's 3
It's
too
for
many.
dramatic effect.
But I will say it is 3 too many. It's 3 games on your rival's turf. So yeah, A&M.
Oh, that was a good game too, 38-30. So that was a close one.
A&M desperately needs. That's when our Texags own Stephen McGee outdueled Colt McCoy. Right, I think right before Colt, started that ascension into all-time Longhorn great. But
yes.
Anyway, so yeah, I think, look, Miami coming in here. Carson Beck, here's my thing with Carson Beck. Yes, when he's bad, he's bad. And they will lose games, I believe, because of Carson Beck and Mario Cristobal. When you watch Miami play, I think, let me say this the right way. If Miami was in the SEC, they would win. They would be more consistently really good. Like, there's something about
have better recruiting attraction and just better. I don't know.
sure.
There's something to be said for being an SEC football team. I knew Texas would be a better program when they went to the SEC because that's what was missing.
Yeah, but that's not even that's a great point. That and A&M benefited from that. People could say what they want. A&M's been much better in the SEC and rated much higher within the conference and won much more meaningful games since they've been there than they were in the Big 12 after like 98. Yeah. So, but I was saying Miami gets up for when they want to get up. And I think that's a unique job down there in South Florida. Like, those guys, when they get up, they play hard and they're physical and they're nasty. And you saw it, you always see it when they play Florida State or Florida. You saw it against Notre Dame. And I genuinely think they were blasting Florida State, and then Florida State had a late rally. I think after that game, I truly think those kids, and I don't think Cristobal is good enough head coach in terms of to get them to stay focused in that ACC. And I think that's I probably shouldn't say that because I think that's really difficult. Miami knows they got talent for days over all these ACC teams. So unless it's Clemson or Florida State, I don't think so. So what happens is...
Yeah, I think there's something to be said for that. And I don't mean to cut you off, but I just feel like that's something that I felt the last couple of years in the Big 12.
True.
It's like this Texas team, it was so frustrating because you knew they had so much talent, and you would see it in certain games. Like, you would see it against OU.
Yeah.
You would see it against the games that they really, really cared about. And then it's almost like a couple quarters of different games, they just stopped caring. And it was hard to keep, it's hard to keep that passion up against teams like West Virginia and Iowa State, where a lot of these teams, I mean, a lot of people hate when we say this, but Texas is very, very hated by a lot of those teams to a level where, I could not I do not think about the West Virginia Mountaineers probably nearly as much as what the West Virginia Mountaineers thought about when they saw Texas on their schedule.
For sure.
That was a game they were going to sell out that year.
Remember Will Greer and Dana Holgerson, and that's all they wanted to do was beat Texas.
Yeah, that's all they wanted to do. And as a college student, even as a college student there, I saw Texas Tech as a skippable game on the schedule. It's like, I'll sell my ticket for that weekend, $35, whoever wants it.
Yeah.
That was my mind about what playing Texas Tech. It wasn't, and so I have to think that time period when you're in a league that just doesn't really have these names that are quite what you want to be playing. Yeah. It's hard to keep engaged week after week.
So with
maybe it was a benefit to Miami that they had multiple weeks in Florida because multiple games that they want to be the best in Florida.
So, yeah, exactly. And so with that said, they look at their best against Notre Dame, Florida State, and then they go play at home. I think it was a Friday night against Louisville, and Beck throws 4 picks, and they lose. And then They go to SMU at an 11
think it was
a.m.
5 picks.
in the middle of the season. 5 picks against Louisville. They go
I
play
think that was it.
SMU in the middle of the season, and they just stink up the field and lose in overtime. That is not the team Texas A&M will see on Saturday. A&M is going to have to earn a win against a team.
Oh, you're right. 4 picks. Sorry.
Yeah.
Don't want to add another one to his
But he had
resume.
2 against SMU, so like 6 picks in those 2 losses. But then they are going to have to earn this game. The Aggies are against a team that Nick Saban said the other day he could see them winning it all because when they're good, they're that good. Miami. And now, I don't think he didn't predict it, but he said they are good enough to do it. And the reason why, Amanda, is for as much as we don't trust Beck, Carson Beck has had some really good games in his career.
Yeah, he has.
He's been in every type of venue. He's been in Austin at night. He's been in SEC.
I mean, he killed us in Austin.
Yeah. Well, he threw 3 picks in that game.
Oh, yeah, he did. I mean,
throw 3 picks.
Our offense killed us in Austin. Wouldn't it be funny to see this would depend on you guys losing and Miami beating Ohio State, so I don't think it's going to happen.
Good.
But if Miami ended up playing Georgia.
Yeah, I know. I think the college football world would love that, actually. They would love to see that. But both teams have some real hurdles. Miami, the Aggies, then the Buckeyes. And Georgia have to get by Ole Miss that gave them all they wanted.
You're just counting out a little Tulane already?
I am. Counting out Tulane and Retzlaff. So Miami, though, look, they've got A&M and Miami, if you look at them both, a really elite pass rusher, Cassius Howell, SEC Defensive Player of the Year. Don't make your comment. I know what you're going to say. SEC Defensive Player of the Year.
I was just going to bring up a certain player's name, but it's okay. His name's Trevor Gooseby.
He had a great game. And no one on A&M, except maybe Concepcion, what I'd said had a good game in Austin, including Howell. But Howell, SEC Defensive Player of the Year. Reuben Bain, a projected top 5 pick at end. They're both really good on both lines of scrimmage. You've got Beck, you've got Marcel, that when they're great, they're great. When they're not, they can give the ball away. So, they've got Malachi Henry, who's what? Tony, yeah, Malachi. Okay, pause. Okay. They've got Malachi Tony, who's projected as a potential top 5 pick when he comes out, but he's only a true freshman. Probably the best true freshman in the country. A&M's got Concepcion and Craver and that crew. This is a.
Do you think Concepcion is going to declare, or do you think he'll hang around?
Yeah, I think he'll declare. They asked him today, and he said they're going to sit down as a family and talk about it.
I think he's had 2 good. I know A&M fans disagree with this, but he's just had this. This is a season of this is a season you want before you declare for the NFL draft.
Yeah, and I think Aggie fans would understand that. He has balled out from day one. Literally, the first punt he fielded against was Utah State and second game, housed it. He was big time from day one. He's been a great Amanda. He's a winner. Now he's the one guy. I saw him walking off the field in Austin. And Elko came on and talked about it on this show a week ago. And I said, I saw that. I'll witness that. He was walking off the field. He wasn't talking trash to the Texas players. And he turned to Elko and he said, he was pissed. And he basically was saying, this isn't going to work. This shit isn't going to fly. We're going to fix this. And was legitimately not moping around, but hell no, unacceptable. So I love that. He has brought a lot to the team. I would love to see him
That's probably
stay.
the first time he's played in a rivalry game like that ever.
Yeah, I don't know who's NC State's rival. Wake, Duke.
It wasn't anything like Texas A&M. I can tell you that much. And there is just something different about it. And I was grateful that Texas still got to experience that level of rival against OU year in and year out, and to have another one of it. And I think that's just been one of the biggest benefits for A&M with Texas coming back to the SEC. Is just getting that kind of environment on your skin. It hasn't gone the way Aggies want the first 2 years, but to just have that to look forward to every season of just because there's nothing like those kinds of games. And so that was probably his first experience with that kind of game. game because I didn't experience that kind of game when I was in college. That was the most insane game I've ever been to at DKR because I didn't go to the Notre Dame game a couple of years ago or the LSU game. But
that's why that
the most
SEC,
insane I've ever seen it.
Yeah, it was, and I was with. We were down there, I think I said it last week, but Jamal Charles and Malik Jefferson were down there with us, like some of the A&M former players.
Malik did not experience that.
No. and they were just like, yeah, this is different. This is
me and Malik are the same age.
Yeah, so he definitely didn't. But as I was saying though, like I didn't Concepcion, but that's the thing. This guy does not want this to be his last game. That's for damn sure. So it's going to take everything. And I mentioned his toughness. Miami, Amanda, to me, what they will do more than anything else is they will, in a game like this, if you put an ATM on a helmet, if you put a Longhorn, if you put the purple and gold of LSU, if you put the two numbers of Bama or that big G or a Gator, whatever you want to put, if Miami sees that, you're getting best Miami. And Miami's got something to prove because they didn't think they were going to be in this playoff. To me, that's a dangerous football team. When they thought they were done. Now they got a second life. They're going to test A&M physically. They're going to test their physicality. They're going to test their manhood because the one thing I know about Miami in this game, they are going to play very, very hard. And the Aggies are going to have to match and ultimately over the course of 60 minutes exceed that if they want to keep this, what's been a very special season, going.
Do you think it's good coming off of probably, I don't know if you would say your most physical game of the year playing Texas, that A&M was tested very physically in their last game, and they saw what it was like to lose the physicality of a game, and I think you and I can both agree they definitely lost the physicality of that game.
Yeah, they again, like over 4 quarters. At halftime, I would have called, even though A&M was up, I would have called that a push. It didn't feel like either team had any sort of control of that game. And then
Texas felt like the OU game to me, so I felt good.
Yeah, and it's funny because I watched OU. You're right. It felt like that, but for A&M fans and probably for the A&M team, it felt like LSU. It felt like Missouri. It felt like some of these games where maybe even Notre Dame was different. That was more of a track meet. But like Missouri, Mississippi State, LSU, Auburn, these were all games that were like kind of tug of wars like for the first half. And then A&M just kind of pulled away in the second half of every one of those. Not Auburn on the scoreboard, but they just kind of controlled. So both teams.
Do you think they got complacent in that was probably what they assumed to do in the second half?
I don't want to say. Go ahead.
You can't get complacent in rivalry games, and I feel like that's a hard thing to do in rivalry games is get complacent. I mean, obviously they were rattled by the environment. I have never seen an environment at DKR that causes that many penalties, and I was happy to see that.
Yeah,
but
I was not. But yeah, I don't think complacent is the word because I think that takes away from Texas played that well in the second half. But I think maybe, Amanda, in a way, they were pressing in ways that they hadn't in other games and maybe even made it a little bigger than you needed to because it still is just the same game you've been playing against a team that where Texas is really good, and you can talk about the schedule all you want. They've played teams on Texas's level throughout the year. Texas just won that second half, and they won it.
What teams would you say were on Texas's level that they played throughout the year?
Notre Dame. Here's where it gets tricky because this is where you're going to catch me.
Because that's where my list stopped.
Well, see, today I would maybe say that, but
today, and I think today is what matters because today we have all the information we need to evaluate what the skill level of these teams.
But I think Mississippi State was on the level and I think Florida was clearly on the level. I think. And Florida,
you did not play the same team that played Florida. You did not play the same Texas team that played Florida.
But they did play the same Texas team in terms of personnel and talent, not confidence.
There were personnel injured in Florida that played against A&M.
Yeah, I guess Manny, did they have O-line injuries in that one?
Yes, they had O-line injuries early.
So, okay.
And the line had no idea what they were doing early as well, because there were some position changes at center and at left guard that changed. So Arch actually had protection against A&M, which was much different compared to what was happening in the Florida game.
I would have said LSU. I would have said Missouri. Like, to me, those are on the level where Texas was this year.
LSU looked like hot garbage. Missouri had their backup quarterback in.
Okay, you're right. But I'm going to say cut. No, seriously. Like, look, Texas.
Did we watch the same football season?
Well, hold on. Let me tell you about LSU, though. You're right about Missouri. With that backup quarterback, they had no off. LSU, after they played A&M, lost to, I think, Alabama. They were down 17-9 with 2 minutes left in Tuscaloosa. They lost to OU 13-10 in their last game. LSU, like, here's what I'll say. If Texas went and played at Mizzou, if Texas played at LSU, I think those would have been highly competitive football games. Do I think Texas, by the end of the year, was a better team than them? Yes, I do. So I guess we're going to call this in favor of you, because what I'm going to say is, yeah, I think Texas was the second best team that A&M played this year. And I know Florida beat them. I know Florida was not as good as Texas. They were on that day. But, yeah, so you're probably right. It was probably the second.
I think I can compare Florida to, like, when you go out on, we'll make this relevant for the men that are listening. When you go out on the golf course and one day you shoot a 90 and you're on top of the world, and then you go out the next weekend and you're over 100 and you look like you haven't swung a golf club in your life. Yeah. I think that over 100 day was definitely the day Texas had against that Florida game. Yeah. And I think a lot of it had to do with the fact that, well, one, it was the first SEC game of this season for them, and Sark had no idea what he was doing with the offensive line at that point in the season. They were battered on the offensive line at that point in the season, and, I mean, they finally figured it out, but little too late as far as that Florida game went.
Texas did get a lot better. I think you're right. I think this was just a nice little back and forth. We'll call it for you, because the toughest team they played, I think, was in game one. Second toughest game not game one against real teams. You play 9 against real teams. Game one against a real team, final game against a real team. And going back to the point was, Texas won the physical war over 60 minutes. They won the line of scrimmage. They won the running game. They were the more physical defense. So, to answer your question, yeah, I think that's the type wake-up call that you don't want. You prefer to win that game and play for an SEC title and beat your rival. But if you don't learn from that,
I have a fun hypothetical
then
for you.
Your season should be over. So to me, they need to learn that lesson and realize, hey, Miami's going to bring it, and if we don't match it, our season will be over. If we learn from that Texas game and we match it, we'll get this home crowd behind us, and we know we can beat these guys. I'm going to pick A&M to win, breaking
news. Billy Liucci picks Texas A&M to win the football game.
I'm 11-1 this year in picks. I'd like 24. 21, 27, 24. I don't even know if the score will be that high. I think the defense, this might be a defensive type football game.
I will say Miami's passing defense is a little less prolific than their rushing defense, so that might be in A&M's favor, just considering Le'Veon Moss coming back will be big, but
TBD.
We haven't seen him in a very long time. Yeah, we don't know what capacity that'll look like. I mean, all goes well, he will be a great contributor in this game, but I mean, I'd like to rely more heavily on my guys like Casey Concepcion and Mario Craver, who have proven to be the most prolific players on this offense.
And Marcel Reed, like you talk about wanting to bounce back, you're coming home. Marcel Reed's going to have to play that type game that you saw second half South Carolina at LSU. Arkansas, Notre Dame, like you're going to have to play one of those type games, and he's got it in him. We've seen it several times this year. So, I think.
Are you concerned about his ball security issue he's had in the past 2 SEC games, as far as just bad decisions where he's been throwing interceptions when he's under pressure?
Considering Miami's pass rush, and it's not just Bain. There's 2 of them that can get after it. I would say I'd be more concerned on the road. And A&M's played well on the road, though. See, I don't want to. I feel like sometimes I put too much into that Texas game.
2 interceptions against South Carolina. So
Well, and a fumble turnover too, or like a backwards pass.
Not great.
Yeah, it's something that I think I know that Marcel has to have been, really hyper focused on these last few weeks, because you're not going to win that. Just like Miami's not going to win if Carson Beck coughs it up. You know why? Because when he did it for Georgia last year against y'all, they won because that Georgia defense was unstoppable. Yep. That is not the case. Miami's got a good defense. That Georgia defense was like, you guys weren't doing anything. So Georgia could sit there in the fourth quarter up like 15-0 or 15-7 and feel in total control. Carson Beck could have cost them that game if they'd have had a normal defense. So, yeah, I think that's a good point. It's something that if A&M wins, I think Marcel has no more than a turnover, What do you think? Give me your prediction on this one. You've been very even. You've picked A&M. You haven't. You call it like you see it. What do you think?
I don't know if I've evaluated this one enough to make a solid prediction on it yet. I'll have one by the end of the week.
Okay.
I could see it going both ways. And I think I told you last week, I made some college football playoff brackets. One where it was, if in my dreams the college football playoffs went this way, this is how it would go.
We know how that one went. Norman and College Station
A&M
were
getting
unhappy.
out of the first round.
Yeah.
And then how I actually thought it was going to go, which had A&M beating Miami, but losing to Ohio State.
All right. And let's continue now. Let's shift over. And the last thing about this game, as I said, in terms of the season, if A&M wins Saturday and they're 12-1, you've won a real playoff game. You didn't go beat James Madison or Tulane. You win a real playoff game. You go 12-1. You set up this Cotton Bowl showdown on New Year's Eve with Ohio State. You add them to the list of blue blood powerhouse programs you've played this year. You've beaten the majority of them. What a hell of a season in year two. If you go 12-2 and you were picked to go 8-4, 7-5, wow, what a year two. A loss, you lose your last two, Texas and Miami. It's got a bitter taste to it, and you can go back and evaluate and go, hey, great second year, but, so it's a big swing, in my opinion. And
I think that's very similar to how Texas felt after their first year getting into the college football playoff.
The Washington game.
Year. Had a little bit of a bitter sting to it at the end. I think, we won the Big 12 championship that year, so at least had that to ride on our happiness a little bit further.
And let's shift over then to the Texas with this Citrus Bowl. I noticed you typed in Citrus Bowl. You didn't want to call it the Cheez-It Bowl because everyone's having fun with the Cheez-It.
I am fine with it being the cheesiest.
Woke up feeling the cheesiest. And
on Texas, we discussed what is our favorite Cheez-It. So if you're watching this now on YouTube or something and want to leave a comment of what your favorite Cheez-It is, I think I landed on white cheddar.
Oh, yeah,
I feel
me
like
too.
Those ones are really good.
I agree.
I always was a big Cheez-It girl over I like them better than Goldfish. I felt like Goldfish were too bland.
I agree. Cheez-Its came along. When I was a kid, you only had Goldfish, then Cheez-Its came along. At least
it's not the Duke Mayo Bowl. I do not want to see Sark doused in mayonnaise. That's just not something I need to see in this lifetime.
You lose that one on purpose just so you don't get, the Citrus Bowl is a good bowl. I mean.
It's like, prior to all this stuff that has developed in the last week, what a fun bowl game. 2 blue blood programs, Texas and Michigan. It's not like you're playing some nobody. You're playing a good team.
Now what?
So as far as Michigan goes, I think everybody listening knows what's going on there. Their head coach is now in jail. For a multitude of reasons.
In jail, or has he gotten out?
I think he was bailed out.
Yeah, I think got arrested, got fired.
A lot of legalities in that situation that we are in no position to speculate on.
Messy mess in Ann Arbor.
Train wreck, just a train wreck. You can't stop watching. Very sad, but man, you can't stop watching. So what's surprising to me is Michigan really hasn't had that many players, one, transfer or two, opt out quite yet. I feel like they've had about 3 players transfer.
Yeah.
And the reason being for this is I think they were probably going through all those processes that Texas is going through right now when all of this madness was going on.
That's true.
So a lot of these players haven't made those decisions yet.
Yeah, they're not having exit interviews with the head coach.
Yes.
They're not. Yeah, that's fair.
Yes,
And
I think the portal entries for Texas a lot of times are timing up with like they're having their exit interviews, they're discussing with their family, and then they're making their decision.
so let's. That's what I really want to tackle with you because A&M was in a similar bowl last year. Like they played USC. It's a blue blood program. It felt fun. It was Vegas. It was really similar, like Texas and Michigan, A&M, you're getting to play USC and the Trojans and all that goes with that. But a lot of the best players opted out. A&M had some guys say, if you're even slightly hurt, even if you're coming back, you're probably not
like
playing
Michael
in
Taft
that
isn't
one.
playing.
Yeah, so what are your thoughts? Like, are you more interested in the game or are you more interested in what's going on with Texas right now, which is y'all are in the season that the playoff teams will also be in shortly. You guys were delayed in this last year whereas A&M got a head start. You are in the opt-out / NFL draft / transfer season.
Yeah, and
how do you feel about that right now?
Our bowl game is also just it's at the tail end of bowl season too, so it makes it even more difficult as far as just who's going to opt out by then.
Yeah.
I do the silver lining. You talked about a silver lining of Texas.
I've had a
beating
lifetime of them, Amanda.
Silver lining of
I'm the
Texas
king of
not
silver
making
linings, dude.
the college football playoff is they can actually invest more time into the transfer portal this year. It's just not going to be a chaotic grab at the end when they get out of the college football playoff and they're 2 steps behind of A&M and OU and Texas Tech and all these other teams who have been working the portal, figuring out their healthy attrition that they need to do type thing. So even though, and I had something in here because I saw a comment, I think on Texas Today, a user left this comment. He said, because we did have a pretty big player enter the portal today, which was it was the first one that has entered the portal that I think nobody expected.
LaFau.
Which is LaFau, yes.
And he, by the way, played his ass off against A&M, I thought.
Yeah, he had probably his best game of the season against A&M. And if you don't remember who he is, he's the one who threw the ball into Bevo's pen after he got the scoop and score interception, whatever it was. So that one was, I think, the biggest one. And from what I am gathering, it's because they had the exit interview with Sark and they discussed the future of where they see this player going in the system. And it didn't exactly align with what he thought he would be successful in going forward as far as his personal development. So, I mean, all that to say, this is one where I would be very happy if he changed his mind. I would be very happy if in a couple weeks he decided, I'm taking my name out of the portal, not interested in transferring anymore.
Yeah.
Because he was a heavy contributor, a great linebacker. This isn't a position where I'm super, if it was a different position, I might be a little more concerned. If it was another major contributor, that like if it was Colin Simmons, I'd be freaking out.
Oh, yeah.
But this is one where I think we can replenish here without being too concerned. But at the same time, this one kind of sucks. We have Ty Anthony Smith right behind him. Great player.
Stud. Can I jump in here on this? This reminds me of Noah Thomas last year. The only difference, and the reason why this would be interesting, is A&M had some guys that really flirted with going into the portal last year that they kept.
I mean, that was Ryan Niblett for us.
Yeah.
You saw how that worked out.
That's true. So they had some guys they kept, but they didn't announce they were going in. And when you actually can go in with the portal, which is not now, when you can go in, there's a 48-hour hold before it gets public. And so they had guys go in that you go, oh, hey, so-and-so entered the portal, but we're trying to keep them. And then they end up keeping them. And so the general public never sees it. And I'm always careful not to report that because it just sends everybody into a panic. For him to announce it felt weird to me. I don't know, it could, I'm sure it's what you're talking about. And then you have to wonder what's never said.
Yeah.
Is here's the thing that Texas fans need to realize, Aggie fans need to realize is like some of these players that are good, they get their number up here where maybe Mike Elko or Steve Sarkisian say, I know the exact player you are. Your number ain't here. For what we're doing, that is not the value, that's not the level of player you are. You're not an NFL Pro Bowler, you're an NFL starter. They get paid differently. And if you think you can go find that, and every single player at your school, in my school, can make more money somewhere else tomorrow. That's and same at Alabama and LSU and Oregon, everywhere. So sometimes there's just a simple fact that there's a difference in kind of how you're valued. Hey, you're a starting linebacker. We need you. But for that money, we can go get somebody similar. Or we could use that money. We might need to go find another offensive lineman or another run, whatever that may be. This is how we're allocating this. And, it is. It's kind of like Major League Baseball. Certain positions are just valued more and going to make more. So that I'm interested to see what happens there because he is, while I don't think he's a great player, I thought he was in the A&M game, but he's a good player. And like you said, he'd be a starter next year. It reminds me a lot of Noah Thomas for A&M. And you know what they did? They recovered at receiver just fine without him.
Yeah. So I saw a comment in, I think this was our On Texas message board from somebody that said, I understand other teams may value players differently, but it appears player retention and team culture are taking a hit compared to other elite teams. Is this a concern for Sark? And this is just a comment. I want to laugh at it because if you just look at the actual numbers of player retention from the years under Steve Sarkisian, it far surpasses plenty of other elite programs.
Yeah.
The reason, and I want to hammer this in, the reason this feels extreme right now with the number of players entering the portal is because other elite teams are not focused on the portal and next year and developing for 2026. They're focused on the college football playoff. Texas missed the college football playoff this year, so their focus is different right now. That is why it feels different. I believe Texas had 9 players enter the transfer portal last year. You can correct me if I'm wrong. I'm pretty sure that's the number I saw, which was one of the lowest in the SEC.
It was.
And even if that's not the correct number, I know they have one of the lowest numbers of players enter the transfer portal. And you look at teams, even like A&M, I think you guys had 20-plus players enter the transfer portal.
And can I tell you what? Now, that was after year one.
It's attrition, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad thing.
Well, that's what I was about to tell you.
Coaches like Mike Elko, coaches like Steve Sarkisian, they see what they have and they see what they need, and they're going to be honest with the players on their team of here is where I see you fitting in, whether that's in a position you want to be in or not. You make your decision from there, and the players that are going to see them in a position they want to be, they're going to stay for the most part.
I think Sark might have looked at that number 9 and said, we didn't have enough attrition last year. Yeah. We needed, in hindsight, we needed to clear more runway and bring in more new faces, and we would have been a better football team this year early in the season. Therefore, this year, this time around, we are going to cut loose more of the, the bodies that can be cut loose where we can replenish those with better and become a better football team. Or we need to allocate our money more towards a smaller group versus there's a million different things going on there.
Well, I want to comment on the culture comment real quick because you said team culture. And that's the thing that's most like, what are you watching if you think culture is the issue here? Mm-hmm. Because this is why there were only 9 players that entered the transfer portal last year. The players that are entering the portal this year, it is by far and away from what I've heard from encouragement from the coaching staff. And I don't want to call it encouragement, but just by their honest evaluations of the team they want next year and how they see this player fitting in on the team next year. Sark has said time and time again he wanted to focus on developing players from high school, and that was his focus.
Yeah.
And he didn't prioritize the transfer portal as much as teams like A&M, teams like OU, teams like Texas Tech. He just did it because he wanted to build the team culture from developing players through the program. And that is important, and he still has said he wants to focus on that. But you also need to focus on adding the pieces that are missing, which I feel like you said, he needs more attrition this year, and he's recognized that.
And it's the same thing Elko did. Elko always prefers to get portal guys that have multiple years, if possible.
Emmett Mosley, look at him.
Emmett Mosley.
Great addition. Matthew Golden a couple years ago.
Golden was a 1 year though, and so is Concepcion. So like, there's always going to be exceptions. But for Elko, it was like Will Lee, Cassius Howell, Reed Adams, Des Ricks. His preference. Mario Craver this year. He'd love to get those guys. Now there are obviously exceptions. Nate Borkature, they desperately needed a veteran tight end. Concepcion was so good, they needed that impact. But you talk about the culture and the development. You'd always prefer them to have multiple years. And I think this, here's the deal I'll make with Longhorn fans. How about you let you know from an outsider when you should worry about portal additions and what they say to culture? Because I'll be honest, and I'm telling you right now, you know me. I will say when there's like a red alarm flashing.
That would be Arch Manning hitting the portal.
Yeah, or it would be like 5 of the LaFouls. I'll let you know. I'd be the first one to say you got a problem. So if I'm not saying that, you don't have a problem. And
I think it's a lot of people are struggling to adjust with the new nature of the transfer portal and NIL and how much this is common, even in elite programs.
A&M lost Cam Dewberry.
The comment annoyed me because I'm just like, are you ignoring the fact that every other elite program, not every other, but most of the other elite programs are competing for a college football playoff right now.
So the Aggies last year lost Cam Dewberry. He was a starter, or he's a part-time starter. He starts for Alabama now. He starts for a playoff team. He made a great move for himself. He loved A&M. The Aggies didn't have any complaints with him. He was just not necessarily going to start. He'd have had to beat out either Besantis or Reed Adams to start. And the money that somebody like Bama, who desperately needed a starting guard, was offering was not what A&M, who was already fighting to bring back 7 starting caliber offensive linemen, they were not going to match that for an 8th. That was, quite frankly, if what I heard is true, it's basically more for a guy that may not have been starting than any of your offensive linemen were making. So Texas fans and any college football fan need to consider that too. As long as the number of guys like Noah and LaFau are 3 or under, you're fine, period. So we're on the same page with this whole thing, and we're not doing it now. We'll talk about it later, maybe after the Aggie season. But for A&M, just in a one-sentence thing, like a massive part of what their football team will look like next year will have to do with what Elko, I thought, did a great job of last year, is keeping those middle, late-round guys from leaving for the NFL and utilizing his NIL money that way. So you had all these veteran players. Like Cassius came back. He was SEC Defensive Player of the Year. Trey Zune came back. He was SEC O-Lineman of the Year, split that with Caden Proctor. These guys considered going, and they came back, and it paid off in a big way. Armage considered it. I know Texas fans like to have fun with him because he talked so much crap before the game the last 2 years, but he's second-team All-American today. Those guys thought about going and being like middle, depending on who it was, middle to late-round picks. They came back. So for A&M, it's going to come down to like the DJ Hicks, the Reuben Owens, the Mario. Well, Mario isn't old enough to go. Torian York, Des Ricks, Dalton Brooks. Those are the names. Chase Besantis. Those are the names you look at and go, A&M's going to commit a lot of resources to try to keep them, and that's we'll talk about that after the season. For now, we got our playoff predictions. I've made my Miami A&M one. We'll wait on yours till the end of the week. Give me who you think's going to win. The only other game, I think we both are going Ole Miss and Oregon, correct?
Yes.
I'm up by one game for the year. You've got to rally. This is a big deficit for you. OU, Alabama. Does OU make it 3 in a row? Crazy to me to think that Brent Venables
can't beat Texas, but he can beat Alabama.
And can go 3-0 against the Alabama Crimson Tide. Now, it's not Nick Saban, but it's still 3.
You know what? The last 2 times I've picked Oklahoma, they've won, so this time I'm picking
You're picking Bama?
I'm picking Bama. I'm picking them to get the monkey off their back. They're going to beat OU. Norman ain't that hard of a place to play. I said it. I
don't think the atmosphere compare. I shouldn't say that because A&M's got to go there next year, but I think
I have a friend who dated a Sooner and went to many Sooner home games.
Yeah.
Was very underwhelmed.
In the past,
we don't play in Norman, so I'm sure it would be a different environment if they had their rival in Norman. Just like, Texas, DKR can get a little lethargic.
I've been there a lot, but in fairness, A&M kind of stunk through that Big 12 run. At first, A&M was way better, and OU was terrible the first couple trips, and then it was Bob Stoops and. I literally was there for 77-0. It's kind of hard to have much. It's kind of hard to have much atmosphere. I was there sitting
halfway back to College Station. If I was
sitting with Coach Sumlin's wife. I watched the second half, and next to Bob Stoops' wife, I watched the second half in Coach Sumlin's office. He was at OU at the time. It was before he was the head coach at A&M, and I got talked into by him to stay the night as planned. Because we hadn't gotten to hang out or see each other, and had the misfortune of going and having drinks at the sports bar with half the OU staff after that one. So that was maybe that's why I stepped into the Mark Stoops. Not really. I had nothing to do with it. So I was just going to write about it, and I was really upset that I was going to have to write about Mark Stoops being the coach at A&M. But anywho, I'm going to go Oklahoma at home. On paper, I like Bama to win this one, but I just feel like
Bama walked into Georgia at home and found a way to win at night.
I know, but I just feel like Bama is like they're just kind of down in the doldrums, and it just doesn't feel like there's energy.
Playing a team mad is the worst time to play them. Talked to Ohio State last year after they lost to Michigan.
I just think OU has the momentum in this matchup. We'll see.
Their offense. I might be a better quarterback on offense for OU
than the great Mateer. All right, so we disagree on at least one. We'll see what you do later in the week. We'll post it once you decide between the Aggies and Hurricanes. Give me just one word answer here. SEC team not named Georgia most likely to, let's just say, make a run to the championship game, even just to make a run in this playoff.
I don't even want to pick one. I don't have one.
You don't?
I don't think there is one.
You think they all have roadblocks?
I think Bama is the one. If Bama beats OU, I think they would have a shot. OU's defense will keep them in for a bit, but I don't trust their offense enough to be successful over Indiana, which is who they would have next round.
Yeah.
So I guess I would, but I could also see Bama losing first round as a thing.
No, it's tough.
Hard for me to say another team to make a run because I'm so sorry. I think this is your best season in decades. Obviously, A&M's a great football team this year, but I have a hard time seeing A&M beat Ohio State.
Ole Miss has Georgia in round 2.
I can't, in good faith, say make a run because you can say, well, it'll be at the Cotton Bowl. It'll be like a home environment.
Yeah.
Texas was at the Cotton Bowl last year. There were more Longhorns there than there were Ohio State fans, but not by much. Ohio State travels well. You were there. There are a lot of Ohio State fans there. They travel well. So it's not going to be playing at Kyle Field, I can tell you that much.
No, I think A&M would have first of all, I think the Miami game's a coin flip. I do.
But then, if you beat Ohio State, you get Georgia.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like it's
Georgia
such a
or Ole Miss, but I'm picking Georgia to beat Ole Miss.
I am too, and it's such a brutal path to get that 7 versus that 6. It is such a brutal
Y'all
difference.
have a rougher path than we did last year.
Yeah.
I mean,
because you push Ohio State up around.
Have Big 12 champs second round than Ohio State second round. So,
yeah, I mean, look, A&M can beat Ohio State in a game. You know, like I don't think Ohio State. You know, you saw A&M volleyball in Nebraska. Like I don't think Ohio
A&M
State
home at night against Ohio State.
Yeah.
Might pick A&M.
I just don't think Ohio State would be favored in that game. They absolutely should. But there's something. Put me on record, whether it's A&M or somebody. I just think Ohio State isn't as good as we've been told they have been all year.
Everybody said that last year after they lost to Michigan.
You're right. And then they turned it on.
They were 10-2 team, and they went and won the college football national championship.
No, you're right. We'll see if they can flip that switch again. I think, and I could be wrong, and again, we're talking away from this has nothing to do with A&M in this exact statement, but I think they're not as good a football team as they were last year.
But I think a lot of their competition isn't as good as they were last year.
That's fair. They had Oregon. Anyways. They had who? They had Tennessee, then Oregon, then Texas, then Notre Dame. That was a hell of a run. They faced a gauntlet last year, actually.
Yeah, and they proved themselves.
All right. Well, let's it's a good point. Let's move to the Heisman finally. I was happy to see Mendoza win it.
I was so happy.
I wanted him or Love. I knew Love wasn't going to. I was happy to see Mendoza.
I think most of the people that watch this show can probably agree you were happy he won and not the second place candidate, as most of college football is now happy that he won and not the second, which is unfortunate. Diego Pavia has had a great career at Vanderbilt, but I am personally of the opinion that there's no excuse for the way he behaved after the Heisman. I don't know what it is. I saw somebody else say you want like the all-around college football player, best player. I always considered myself, I am only as good of a soccer player as I am off the field as well. Mm-hmm. Like and just the behavior outside of everything was just a distractor from everything he did that was so good. And I'm sure so many people will be like, that doesn't matter or whatever. Like, I don't think even Johnny did it to this extent.
No, Johnny, when he was that year he won it, was not.
And also, Johnny was better.
Yeah. I mean, the year Johnny won it, there was no, after he won it, the year he won it, it was the Scooby-Doo thing, which was almost, even though it was like
was Johnny sitting around saying, like, F the voters? Do you realize every single player that has won a Heisman Trophy is voting?
So here's my thing with Pavia. I have a pretty high threshold of because I spent my college years living with college football players and athletes, and then those are some of my best friends in life, are not just former A&M players to this day, but also, other athletes. It's like just it's my social realm, that. Like, I mean, I know what, and I still am around. Because of this job, I see the young athletes all the time. They come through here. You see them around. Like, I understand, like, you act differently at that age. So I have a higher threshold of like, okay, I understand. It's like he shouldn't have said that, but he shouldn't have done that.
But look at how your quarterback acts. Look at how Marcel Reed acts. Compare him to him. And the thing is, when you watch a video where it's a fun game of like, who's the better player between these two, and his immediate brain response is, me, I'm the better player.
Well, they said best Heisman winner before he even won it. But
what? And then he's just like, oh yeah, a game, yeah. Then I'll pick Johnny, I guess.
So to me,
sitting there saying, I'm a better player than Johnny Manziel, like,
yeah, it's silly.
It's just like some level of humbleness.
There's some level of it's not that intelligent to me.
Wouldn't Johnny say, like, I feel like Johnny said at one point, like, the player he looked up to growing up was Vince Young because he watched him win a national championship. Mm-hmm. It is okay to be confident in yourself as a football player and also say, I looked up to this player growing up. He was Here,
I'm with you. We're in total agreement here. My threshold is high, and what I was getting at is he crossed it. And like to say F the voters, and then there's videos out there F Indiana with the thing,
the sign at the bar. Yeah, it's just like it's hard. I'm hard pressed. Like as as party boy as Johnny was, I'm hard pressed for him to see him going that far. I also think he had different people in his corner than Pavia has, just in a different environment around him as far as Pavia has. But I mean, Pavia's brothers have been arrested twice at football games.
You got to remember something, and it's not justifying him, it's just the world we live in now. Johnny was kind of the first social media sports star.
Oh, yeah.
It literally, like, I had someone from out in L.A. come to me that wanted to do a documentary and kind of base it around that, and like, he was. And now these players now today, and it's a credit to guys like Marcel, Mendoza, Arch, I think Quinn Ewers even the year before, like, it's a credit to the Haynes King. You see him over there.
It makes him grow up really fast.
But they have grown up, though, since they started playing sports, watching the social media athlete. So this is like the first generation.
They should know how to act.
Well, or they don't. It's what you to pick your path. You know, like there's now a path for both. There really is. You see all these streamers and all these people getting famous. Like, you can kind of pick your path. Do you want to be the shock value guy, or do you want to be the guy that does it, you know, that wants to carry themselves a certain way? So obviously, most people pick one path. He picked another.
I gotta say, there's another thing that rubs me the wrong way about Diego Pavia, completely outside of his behavior.
Oh God, what is it?
Is the suing the NCAA for additional years to play the sport. I am a player that went to play Division III college athletics after college. You know what? Like, I was good enough to go and not start at a D1 school.
Yeah.
But I chose to go play at a school I knew I could start at. I am so sorry. You were not good enough, or you did not do what you needed to do to get recruited at that level. You knew the rules going into it, that those 2 years, those were going to take up eligibility.
Yeah.
You got the additional COVID year.
Yeah.
You got what you needed to there. Go to the NFL.
Yeah.
Go get a job if you can't go to the NFL.
Yeah.
A seventh year, like petitioning for a 7th year in college athletics. And
you worry that you're going to get
24,
to a point.
25 competing against kids 3 and 4 years younger than you for even more than that for the same award. And you already have an upper hand because you have been playing college sports. You've been starting at a college football level for 6 seasons.
All right.
5. Like, give me a break.
That's so stupid.
Give me a break.
It is. It's absurd. It's over the top.
I'm a bit of a former athlete. It's like,
I love when you get.
So you're gonna sue the system to get yourself into the position to where you can play more? I don't know. Anyways,
just brace yourself. Wait till these kids start saying, I can make $1 million playing college football this year. You can't deprive me of that opportunity, because if I go out I won't make it to the NFL. So if I go into the job market, I'm going to only make $50,000.
It's a Gen Z problem at this point. I'm so sorry for any people. Like, just a gimme generation. You weren't good enough at the time.
You sound
that's
old.
What you signed up for.
You sound old. I love it. You've officially transitioned into old age.
It's a grumpy millennial in me that just still can't afford to buy a house because of how poorly everything has been handed in our favor. Anyways.
All right, let's do this.
For a different day.
Let's do this before we go. We had a little twist we wanted to do. Our most popular little segment each week that I think the subscribers really look forward to every week is Ask Liucci. They fire off questions. I know for fun, one time you texted one and I read it on there. So that's something. So we're going to ask each other like 3 questions. Ask Atwell, ask Liucci. So we'll do 1 for 1 here and we'll rip through them. Let's start. You want me to start?
You can start.
My first question to you. What is one thing that has to happen? One thing that has got to happen, whether you can go any way you want with this, for Texas to get back into the CFP in 2026?
I mean, I'm just going to go to the O-line first. I feel like that was the root of all the problems this season. And if you didn't watch Texas football as closely as many of us painfully did, That's the reason for the close wins that we had. That's the reason for the loss at Florida. Arch Manning is going to develop, and we've watched him develop under our eyes. And like I said last year about Marcel Reed, I think the same thing applies here. Arch Manning is going to be as good as the tools around him. And second to that, with the tools, you got to get a running game. Okay. The running was absolutely non-existent this year. You have C.J. Baxter entering the portal. You need a big gotcha in the portal, and they've already started the movement there with the new running backs coach, which I'm happy about. I feel like a lot of Texas fans should be happy about. And there's a chance it could come with a transfer that a lot of Texas fans should be pretty dang happy about.
I do not want Jaden Baugh in burnt orange, if that's who we are referring to, which I assume we are.
We don't want to speak too prematurely on that. But at the same, regardless of that, just go look at the names that this coach has developed.
Yeah.
As far as running backs go, I want a Bijan Robinson again. I want to be buying my Dijon's Bijan because I'm so pumped up about our running back room.
Yeah.
I think those are the biggest things of just reigniting that run game.
Okay.
And to reignite that run game, you need an offensive line that can block. So those are my things.
You ain't going to win without it. And we saw that. It was a catalyst for y'all getting to the playoffs the last 2 years. If A&M's going to win on Saturday, it's going to be because of their offensive line and run game, in my opinion. Okay, my second one for you is, who's the number one? This one can be quick because we kind of talked about it. Who is your number one that you truly feel is on the fence? Not someone that someone that you truly feel is on the fence that could stay or could go, that you want to see return for Texas. If you had to pick one guy that you said, if I could pick one, it's him.
I don't have quite the insight of who is or is not on the fence. I do know this player has an option.
Yeah.
And that's Trevor Gooseby.
Okay.
And that's the one that I think would be a game changer if he keeps back, just having that continuity. And I mean, A&M fans saw him and what he did.
He's done well 2 years. That reminds me a lot of Zune, although I think Gooseby, because he's more prototypical with the length and the athleticism, like he'll go higher. But Zune could have gone and came back and was.
There is one thing to consider about Gooseby. His brother will be on campus next year, so
basketball. Yep.
Might want that year with his brother.
Okay.
So
for me,
crossing our fingers.
For me, for A&M, I would say I went down the whole list. I ran down those names. I would say, to me, it's probably one of two. It's either Chase Besantis or Des Ricks. I think those are very important, especially for the Aggie O-line. You're going to lose maybe 4 starters, but you could only lose 3 if you kept Besantis. So that's mine. And then my third one for you is, okay, with the way the season went, we talked about it last week. We got into it a little bit about the way the season went. And how would you grade, just simple, if we're doing letter grades, how would you grade the season? Because expectations, then 9-3, no playoff. But, oh, by the way, ended it beating your rival at home by 10, beat your other rival by double digits. How do you feel now that we're a couple weeks removed from A&M Texas? How would you grade the season?
Well, if we're doing it on just like we're in class again, I'm going to give Texas a passing grade.
Okay.
Especially, and I'll give you a letter in a minute.
Okay.
Especially considering, I think a lot of Longhorns have amnesia to what we went through the last decade because they've been blinded by a couple recent years of success that nobody was used to since the early 2000s.
Yeah.
It's a passing grade because, I mean, the season didn't go to hell after the Florida game.
Yeah.
But you also lost to Florida. That's a pretty big ding on your record. And since you missed the college football playoff, I think it's, how in college, a lot of times I don't know if they did this for you, but they'd have one test score they tossed out every year.
Yeah, certainly.
You have your one test score that was omitted. I think since Texas missed the college football playoff, you can't quite omit that Florida loss. Texas made the college football playoff. You could probably toss that one out the window, not really think about it too much. I think that one's still dragging down
Florida State.
So that's going to count towards the grade, and that's going to drag down your grade a bit. If you beat Georgia, that one wouldn't be dragging down your grade. So I'm going to give him a C+.
Okay.
It's bordering C plus B minus. Because, I mean, you got some great happiness there. You passed. At the end of the day, D's make degrees, but you're the Texas Longhorns. You don't want D's. You want A's and A pluses. And for perspective, last year I probably would have given them an A minus. Your first year in the SEC. That's everything you want to do, everything you can ask for. I wouldn't have picked Texas winning a national championship last year, so I was more than pleased with how the year went.
I would have picked Texas an A plus last year. I would have given A&M an A plus this year.
I would have given A&M an A.
You're right. You lost to Texas. You can't. That you got to take away like a.
You can't give them. I can't give Texas an A plus last year, not because of the results in the college football playoff, because of how you laid an egg at home against Georgia and the play calls against Georgia in the SEC championship and Bert Auburn.
You're a tougher grader than me. I think we just established that, which is not surprising to anyone that listens to this.
I mean,
I would hate you as a teacher. Holy shit.
You're still passing. Texas still passes this year. I think there's a lot of optimism to move on to next.
I'm just saying, I'm just picturing you at teaching a class, like, oh my God.
I have high standards. I never got a C in school, ever.
The lectures that would commence? Oh, geez. Let's move on. What are your questions? What's your ask? We did ask Atwell. Let's ask Liucci.
Okay. Okay, I think I changed my first one.
Okay.
So, offensive line. Great position group going into this season, obviously.
Yeah.
They could potentially be in the same position that Texas was this year
for sure.
Going into next year. Does that make you nervous?
Yes and
because
no.
If you say it shouldn't.
You got a lot of data of me saying, I know what you're doing. Yeah, for once, you're not going to get me because I know what you're doing because I said a lot before the season about Texas that I ended up being right about. And if now I brush it off when it's the exact same situation for A&M.
Honestly, I'm doing you a favor here. I'm giving you the opportunity to get ahead of this and be like, oh yeah, I told you so. This is where we were going to struggle.
Okay. I don't think they're going to struggle that's why, yes, I'm concerned to answer your question, but I do think there is an opportunity here to do what Sark did not do. And your fans and you guys were rightfully really pissed about midseason, which was they saw so much of an exodus to the NFL and to graduation and just said, you know what, we're going to sit pat with what's on campus. And they didn't attack that position in the portal. So, yes, I am very concerned. And then when this portal's done, I will say, ask me that again. Because if they can keep someone like Bisantis and or add a couple of, like, proven commodities via the portal, then while I don't think it'll be as good as this year with so many veterans, you can avoid that, 8 weeks of trying to figure it out. So TBD, but yeah, it is a concern. I think the thing is, I know it's a concern for Elko and his staff, so I think they're already,
maybe they learned something from watching Sark this year.
Yeah.
Okay, next season, we got the SEC schedules. Call your shot on A&M.
Record?
What's their result next season?
Jeez. All right. Well, I reserve the right to change it, which I will, but
yeah,
I looked at it.
I mean, you reserve the right after you see the transfer portal and all the additions, and both reserve the right to change it. But as of now,
within reason, and assuming that they'll do a good enough job in the portal, like they've done the last 2 years of addressing needs. On that schedule, I could see them doing a 10-2 back with Marcel but
too.
Oh man, it's so early. I don't know. You got road trips to Norman and Alabama, which I think both will be really tough, and then you got Texas at home, which they've won the last 2 now in the series. So those are the ones that stand out. You've also got a road trip to LSU. So to me, I know the other games on the schedule. Arizona State at home. You got Missouri on the road again. That's another one you got to go on the road to. But, yeah, I think you can go 2-2 in those games. I could see them getting to 10-2, and a not so sheepish playoff prediction from me.
There you go. I think that's fair. I think that's a fair prediction.
But it's hard.
That's probably what I would get for A&M too. Okay. I don't know if I could pinpoint the exact games they would lose, but I feel like one of these decent SEC teams, say an OU, Mizzou, one of them's not going to come back as hot next year. One of them's going to next year. You can kind of count on somebody to have it figured out and somebody to not have it figured out.
And I think 3 or 4 games they play first-year head coaches too, which will be helpful. And by the way, if there's one favor that was done, and it doesn't mean A&M's going to win, but you get Lane Kiffin and LSU in September before, like, in theory.
Before they figure everything out.
Yeah, in theory, before he really gets it cranked up and going, but also late enough that you get to see what they're doing and you're not surprised.
Lane Kiffin, LSU, that just sounds so weird still.
Doesn't it? Yeah. Okay, what do you, last one, what do you got?
My last one. A&M wins the national championship this year, only to lose to Texas for the next 10 years straight. Or you're picking an alternative here.
Okay.
A&M loses first round, but beats Texas for the next 5 years straight. And I made it unproportional because obviously A&M still has the opportunity to win it the next 5 years.
Yeah. So 10 years of losing to Texas, but
you get to guarantee a national championship.
And then or I lose first round on Saturday and beat Texas the next 5 years.
Next 5 years, yes.
10 years of listening to your crap. That is weighing heavily on my head right now. I'm gonna go with.
This is a hard one, isn't it?
I'm gonna go with. Yeah, it's really hard because I'm gonna go with winning a national champ. They're yelling in the back that I've done the correct answer. I think I'm gonna do it. I want to end that old lady from the Titanic gif. I will sacrifice 10 years of you every Thanksgiving.
All Texas fans, every Thanksgiving.
Every Thanksgiving, every Texas fan.
Just to guarantee it.
You like having an annual thing set on your calendar like this is just Brutalized Billy Day. I will accept that for a national title.
Should we change that should we make that a Texas holiday of the Friday after Thanksgiving is Brutalized Billy Day?
Yeah, I would
Instead
say
of Black Friday. Who needs Black Friday?
I would be like, let's do it. If it means a parade here for football, I'll you know what? Fine.
Take one for the team.
You know what? Because you know what else? What we didn't talk about? That little 10 years in a row to Texas. You could still go to the playoffs. You didn't tell me I couldn't do that.
Texas still could go to the playoffs and win the national championship the next year, which would have even more helpful.
Or A&M could lose to Texas and win a national title like Ohio State did with Michigan. They could do that this year. So I will accept your offer. I wish you could make it happen. Instead, you can't, but I will accept it. That's good.
I have no power over this, so
all right.
Go talk to your head coach.
You have power over Twitter. So, were there any moving goalposts this week? I don't think we really had any.
I don't think we really had any, except for maybe the Nebraska volleyball team, but that's about it.
I don't think. Yeah, I don't think they were moving them. I'm looking forward. So, I'm really excited for this weekend. You've got the Hurricanes coming in. I think it's going to be an absolutely epic game. Everybody I keep talking to in college football thinks it's going to be like one of the more competitive games of this playoff.
I will be at my sister-in-law's birthday dinner for part of it, so I'm going to need some text
birthday dinner? It's an 11 a.m. game.
Oh, wait. It is 11 a.m. I take that back. I won't be at dinner. I will be watching
it from the comfort of your couch and hopefully
some La Casa in here.
La Casa and texting me like, wow, you guys look really good.
AC Concepcion looks like he has all season.
That's what I need from you. I don't need the dual text that will start coming if they're down.
That text thread during the South Carolina game, that was pure comedy, though.
Yeah, I need the other end of it. Like, wow, congrats. See you in Dallas. All right, so there we go. I'm Billy. I'm Amanda. You're Amanda. And we're moving goalposts everywhere.
Goalposts.
There you go.